Mountain Lakes, but I live in Denver.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the January 13th meeting of the North Jersey Transportation Planning Authority Board of Trustees. I'd like to begin by wishing everyone a Happy New Year. I also want to welcome two new members to our board, Sussex County Commissioner Jack DeGroot and Hunterdon County Commissioner Zach Rich. I look forward to working with both of you. You want to just raise your hand so everybody sees? Okay. And before we get started, I just remind everyone that the microphones around the table are sensitive and this meeting is being recorded. Denise, would you please read the Open Public Meetings Act?
Yes, good morning, everyone. This is to advise that in accordance with the Open Public Meetings Act, Chapter 231 PL 1975, adequate notice of this meeting has been forwarded to the Newark Star Ledger, the Asbury Park Press, the Courier News, the Daily Record, the Home News Tribune, the Jersey Journal, the New Jersey Herald, and posted in the Essex County Hall of Records in Newark.
Thank you. Would everyone please stand and salute our flag? I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Next is the approval of the minutes. Are there any corrections, additions, or deletions to the minutes of November 12th board meeting? Seeing none, may I have a motion to approve the minutes?
Morris County will move the minutes.
Second, Passaic.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions?
Hudson abstains.
Hudson abstains.
Sussex abstains.
Sussex abstains.
Hunter abstain.
And Hunterdon abstains. Anyone else? Okay, we'll move on.
Excuse me, Commissioner, we need to do the roll call.
All in favor?
Oh,
Aye. Aye. The attendance roll call?
Yes. Bergen County,
Present.
Essex County,
Yes, here.
Hudson County,
Here.
Hunterdon County,
present.
Jersey City,
Present.
Middlesex County,
Here.
Monmouth County, Morris County,
Here.
Newark,
Here, none voting.
Ocean County,
Here.
Passaic County,
Here.
Somerset County, Sussex County,
Here.
Union County,
Here.
Warren County,
Here.
the Governor's Office,
Here.
Jersey Department of Transportation,
Here.
New Jersey Transit,
Here.
Port Authority,
Here.
Citizens Representative.
Present.
Thank you. We have a quorum.
Thank you very much. And I'm sorry if I skipped right over that. Okay, we'll move on to the chairman's report. And I'd like to take this opportunity to present the chair's report. Today, the NJTPA launched a public survey for Connecting Communities, our long-range transportation plan update. Dave will provide additional information about plan outreach in his report, but I do want to highlight the role we can all play in this plan update. I appreciate everyone participating in last year's visioning session. As a result of those discussions, NJTPA staff has added a new equity goal to the draft plan and is incorporating our feedback we provided. It's important that the board continue to be actively engaged in this effort to ensure the plan we adopt later this year presents a vision for the future of regional transportation that will meet the needs of our constituent for years to come. I encourage you all to take the survey and share it widely with your networks so that we can reach as many people as possible. As you will hear from Dave, there will also be opportunities to promote and participate in virtual events and pop-up outreach later this spring. The NJTPA looks forward to hearing about transportation priorities and needs through the survey and outreach events. Safety continues to be a high priority for our region. Ocean County is among 8 subregions working with NJTPA to develop local safety action plans that will be completed in June. We'll be holding our second local implementation committee meeting later this month to review draft goals and strategies. Public meetings are being planned for this spring. These plans will lay a foundation for making travel safety by identifying strategies to reduce fatal and serious injury crashes. Speaking of plans, today we're joined by Walter Lane, who until November served as Somerset County's alternate representative on our board. Walt is now with the State Office of Planning Advocacy and will be giving a presentation on the New Jersey State Development and Redevelopment Plan. The draft plan was released last month, and the cross-acceptance process is underway. All of the subregions will be engaged in this effort to create consistency across planning policies at the municipal, county, regional, and state level. The counties will be helping to engage their municipalities, and a series of public meetings will be held across the state. We will hear more about this from Walt, and I encourage you to review the draft plan on the state's website. I also wanted to share that the New Jersey Department of Transportation, in conjunction with NJTPA and the state's other 2 metropolitan planning organizations, has issued a solicitation for the Transportation Alternative Set-Aside Program. This federally funded program can be used for non-traditional surface transportation related projects, such as design and construction of trails, construction of scenic turnarounds and outlooks, and streetscaping and corridor landscaping. During the last grant cycle, in fiscal year 2023, nearly $36 million was awarded to 32 projects in our region. This includes $824,000 for Seaside Heights to make safety improvements to Central Avenue and Ocean County Road. The recommendations, which include bicycle lanes and crosswalks, among other upgrades, were developed through NJTPA's Complete Streets Technical Assistance Program. The project is a great example of how all levels of government, municipal, county, and state, can work together to make travel safer. The program is open to counties and municipalities, and anyone interested in applying must schedule a pre-application meeting by April 11th. Additional information is available on NJTPA's website. Finally, I want to take a moment to thank outgoing New Jersey Transit President and CEO Kevin Corbett for his work with the NJTPA during his tenure. On Wednesday, former NJDOT Commissioner Chris Kalari will take over the agency. Chris most recently served as CEO for the Gateway Development Commission, overseeing the $16 billion Hudson Tunnel project, the nation's largest and our region's most urgent infrastructure project. We look forward to working with him in his new capacity as Executive Director of New Jersey Transit. Thank you. That concludes my report. Now, moving on, do we have any remarks from NJDOT this morning?
No, not at this.
No?
No, not at this.
Oh. NJ Transit?
Just briefly, obviously, thoughts on leadership. We're looking forward to that. And we're looking forward to working with the staff here on WP and other.
Good. Any remarks from the Port Authority?
Yes, I have 2 quick items. One, since our last meeting, the record of decision was issued for the Midtown bus terminal replacement. A lot of people probably heard about that already, but it's really a regionally significant thing that we're eager to get started on, so everyone was aware of that. The second is that USDOT announced RAISE grant recipients on Friday, and we were lucky enough to get one of the awards. So It's a grant to do some transformative work on 12th Street in Jersey City, the approach to the Holland Tunnel, where we're going to be taking what used to widen out for the toll plaza and is a very, very wide street. It's difficult to cross. It's going to be narrowed down, make it shorter crossings, greener, provide some space for bikes, really just turn it into much more of an urban place instead of a place that, you know, the cars just cut through and kind of create a gash in the landscape. It's the sort of thing that we really would like to be able to do a lot more often, but don't always have the resources. So having that federal resource is really helpful. And we look forward to continuing to work with Jersey City and to work with NJTPA to add this project.
Thank you. Anyone else? Okay, we'll move on to the Executive Director's report. Dave, would you present your report to the board?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Happy New Year, everyone. As the chair said, we're gearing up for a busy year that includes updating our long-range plan. But before I get to that, I'd like to take a moment to focus on some of our recent accomplishments, which are highlighted in our annual report for fiscal year 2024, which ended June 30th, this document here. On Friday, we emailed the board a link to the online version, and we've distributed hard copies to you today. The report covers, I think, a really impressive array of planning work and achievements conducted under the board's direction and achieved cooperatively by staff at the NJTPA, the subregions, member agencies, federal partner agencies, and the public as well. Some highlights include programming a record $6 billion for more than 200 projects throughout our region, authorization of a record amount, $45.24 million to advance critical safety upgrades through our local safety and high-risk rural roads programs, surpassing 250 partners in our Street Smart New Jersey Pedestrian Safety Initiative. And as an aside, we've already added 25 more partners to that in our current fiscal year. We initiated local safety action plans that will be completed this year in 8 subregions. We expanded our Complete Streets demonstration library, which lends materials to communities looking to test out improvements like curb bump outs and bike lanes before potentially making those permanent. We completed 2 placemaking projects under the Vibrant Places program, and that includes the Springwood Avenue Heritage Walk in Asbury Park, which recently won an award from the American Planning Association New Jersey chapter. We completed 5 sub-regional studies that included creating a bicycle master plan, exploring traffic calming, removing barriers to mobility, and updating a countywide transportation plan. We also initiated 4 local concept development studies that are exploring ways to improve county roads, and in one case to upgrade or replace an aging bridge. And those are just a few of the accomplishments covered in the report, which I encourage you to read. Thanks to the board and to all the staff who worked on these efforts. And I'd particularly like to note at the NJTPA, it might not show up in the report, and they sort of do their work behind the scenes, folks like our finance and administration group and our IT staff, because this work doesn't happen without them. So, thanks to everyone involved, but I particularly wanted to note them. And now, turning from the report to the work ahead, I will talk for a minute about outreach for the long-range plan. As the chair said, that's begun with a survey that went public today. I also urge you to take the survey and to spread the word about it to your constituents, friends, families, your professional networks. We need to hear from as many people as possible so that the plan will meet the needs of all the communities in our region. This survey is just the first opportunity to weigh in on the plan. Our next event will be on January 28th. We're having a virtual event focusing on walking, biking, and other forms of active transportation. There are details on that on the NJTPA website, and we encourage everyone, RTAC members, board members, to participate in this and the many other outreach activities we have planned leading up to adoption of Connecting Communities in September. I'd also want to note that several technical planning efforts important to the plan are making excellent progress. The Regional Capital Investment Strategy, or RCIS for short, is nearing completion. It sets targets for funding allocations among various categories of investment and provides principles and guidelines for those investments. It's going to be presented through an engaging new website that is nearing completion and will be launched soon. Also underway is an update to our region's federally required congestion management process. That's called the Accessibility and Mobility Regional Reassessment. And that's taking a detailed look at needs around the region and developing strategies to address those needs. It draws on cutting-edge data and modeling techniques. Final technical work going to the plan I'll mention is a climate action plan covering the New York, New Jersey metro region. That's slated to be released this month. A draft was shared with RTAC in December. Staff of NJTPA and the New York Metropolitan Transportation Council supported development of this plan, which was led by New York City, supported by a U.S. Environmental Protection Agency grant. That plan includes greenhouse gas inventory, creates regional strategies to reduce greenhouse gas emissions by 2050. Those strategies will also be reflected in our long range. I do want to note that staff from the subregions have been consulted and involved in all of these efforts, and they really do deserve special thanks, not just for their time and effort, but for the valuable input they provide in bringing a local perspective to regional level planning. Turning to future planning activities, I'll just remind everybody that in December, we released the Draft Unified Planning Work Program for fiscal year 2026. That UPWP will go into effect July 1st, guiding the work of central staff, the subregions, and the Transportation Management Associations. Board members have received a handout summarizing the new initiatives for the coming fiscal year. The program will be further discussed at the upcoming round of committee meetings. Adoption is slated for the March board meeting. I should note, too, that we're also working on sessions for the annual transaction conference. That's going to be held April 15th to 17th in Atlantic City. We'll be sharing additional information about that and reaching out to board members about possibly participating at the conference. On another note, sort of in relation to what the chair said about the transportation alternative set aside, we announced last week that communities can now apply for technical assistance through the latest round of the Transit Hub Planning Program. This assistance, which is provided by volunteer planners, helps communities prepare plans for redeveloping or improving areas around bus, rail, light rail, or ferry transit. Applications are due February 3rd. That program is a partnership between the Center for Community Planning and the American Planning Association's New Jersey chapter and the NJTPA. You can find additional information on that on our website. Before closing, I'm also happy to share that this afternoon, Governor Murphy will be signing a bill to create the Target Zero Commission, which will work statewide to reduce crashes resulting in deaths and serious injuries. In addition to various state agencies, state departments, and other parties, the legislation creating the commission includes the 3 executive directors of New Jersey's MPOs on the commission. So I'm excited about that, and the NJTPA very much looks forward to working with all these partners to make travel safer and eventually reach that goal. That concludes my report. 2 quick things before we move on to business. First, I would also like to welcome our new board members. It's always good to have, some new perspectives, and I look forward to working with you going forward. And then lastly, before we get back to the business of the meeting, we want to just show a brief video that we've put together to help build awareness of the long-range plan update. Thank you.
Thank you, Dave. Appreciate that. And now we'll move on to our presentation on the New Jersey State Development and Redevelopment Plan by Walt Lane, who is now the Deputy Director of the New Jersey Office of Planning Advocacy. Walt supports the Executive Director and staff of the State Planning Commission to advance implementation of the State Development and Redevelopment Plan and works on a wide range of smart growth planning efforts. Walt has over 27 years of land use, regional planning, and transportation planning experience and has managed numerous award-winning projects. He is a licensed New Jersey professional planner and is a member of the American Institute of Certified Planners. Walt has a Bachelor of Science degree in Environmental Policy from Cook College at Rutgers University. Walt?
Thank you. Great to be back. Almost been a year since Donna Rendera was the Executive Director of the Office of Planning Advocacy presented on the state plan, and I'm pleased to announce that the draft state plan that she talked about when she was here last year is out. Cross-acceptance process has started. Updating the state development redevelopment plan was really a priority for the Murphy administration, and we're looking forward to partnering with everyone on the plan. So just a little bit of background. The Office of Planning Advocacy is part of the New Jersey Business Action Center, which is led by Melanie Willoughby. This is the mission. I'm not going to, but really it's to provide business resources to all our local businesses, to counties, advance economic development, and the other opportunities for growing jobs and creating a vibrant economy. So part of the Business Action Center, there's the Office of Business Advocacy. That is working with businesses navigating the local approval process and permitting issues, really an ombudsman type of effort. There's the Office of Export Promotion, which is looking to grow New Jersey's manufacturing and export opportunities to countries around the world. Small Business Advocacy, working to explain and answer questions about different filings of hard paperwork that's needed to operate a business in New Jersey. Our office is looking at how we can make New Jersey an even better place to live, work, and play. And then the Cannabis Training Academy is to educate future business leaders on the cannabis industry and how they can take advantage of New Jersey's laws in promoting that industry. So state plan was created, the legislation dates back to the mid-'80s for the State Planning Act when the Mount Laurel decisions were made. And really it was a complement to the Mount Laurel doctrine, looking at how to plan for the future, looking at how we can protect resources, promoting development, redevelopment, looking at state, county level of resources, coordinating all those different efforts so everyone in government is moving in the same. Identifying areas for growth where limited growth should occur, where preservation of our natural and environmental resources are farmland, making sure New Jersey remains the garden state, and a lot more other community plans. State plan is not designed to dictate to municipalities or to counties or local government, but really to provide some guidance and also align state agency decisions. State agencies are to use the state plan to guide their investment decisions, their permitting decisions, and their program policy. And really, this is the goal of the state plan is to promote good planning throughout the state and work with all levels of government to advance good planning projects and making sure New Jersey remains a great, vibrant state. So there's the cross-acceptance process. This came out of the State Planning Act. And when the plan is updated, when there's a draft plan introduced, this is the process to get input and ensure that all levels of government are coordinating their efforts and the policies aligned at the local, state, regional level. So there's a draft preliminary plan document. That is what came out approved by the State Planning Commission on December 4th, officially released for public comment on December 6th. There's an infrastructure needs assessment. That is really look at what are the state's future infrastructure goals. That work is being done by University and Rowan University right now. There's impact assessment. If the plan is adopted, what would the impacts be? What would be the cost savings from various infrastructure improvements? So for aligning that and making all these plans align. And then there's the state plan policy map, which gives the geographic focus to the state plan's planning policies. Stakeholder engagement is really critical to this effort. Before the state plan was released, there was a series of focus groups, different outreach efforts really trying to gain input from all the various stakeholders throughout the state on what the state plan needs to address version. Because it's been almost 24 years since the state plan was last updated and adopted. There's a couple of starts in that, but never actually finished. A lot has changed in 24 since the state plan adopted. And part of that process in cross acceptance, we're required to have 21 meetings in each county, one meeting in each of the 21 counties to gain input and launch the cross acceptance process. And at the end of the process, once we take all the input we receive from the counties and the municipalities and other planning stakeholders, when we release the final draft plan, there'll be 6 public hearings held throughout the state. Comments on the draft plan before the State Planning Commission moves to adopt the state plan. So there was 8 goals in the original state plan. I think a lot of these goals have been advanced to some shape or form. We're really looking at revitalizing our state, cities, and towns, looking to conserve our natural resources, promote economic growth, promote adequate public facilities and services at a reasonable cost. That's where the infrastructure assessment and the impact assessment tie into the planning process, providing housing at a reasonable cost, preserve and enhance our historic and cultural scenic resources, protecting the great amenities that New Jersey has. You know, we have beaches, we have the mountains, we have great parks and greenways and such, how we can capitalize on those and implement more of those to connect our state, provide those great opportunities and amenities for our residents. And then ensuring that planning is integrated at the local, county, state, and levels. With the new plan, there's 10 goals. You can see economic development, really making sure we're consistent with the Murphy administration's goal, fair, equitable economy for everyone. Looking at how we can advance affordable housing opportunities, consistent with the state plan, making sure those affordable housing developments are being built in the right place near infrastructure. State plan, infrastructure, continuing revitalizing and recentering our communities, creating more mixed-use development. But a lot of these things are very consistent with the various work the NJTPA has done over the years, addressing climate change, looking at our natural water resources, making sure we're addressing flooding and the impacts of climate change, environmental cleanup, looking at brownfields redevelopment, how we can support that for community revitalization, building off our historic and scenic resources, advancing, regional trails like the Morris Canal Greenway, the Essex Hudson Trail, and things like that, connecting our communities using those open space amenities to support economic development and tourism opportunities in our state, addressing equity, and again, back to the comprehensive planning goal, looking at how we can coordinate all these efforts and making sure we're aligning those investments with state policies at all the different levels of government. The NJTPA's regional plans and really its program of work is really highly consistent with these goals and concepts. I think over the years, the NJTPA has done a lot to advance these various goals through the regional transportation plan, various planning studies. The sub-regional support program has provided funding to update county circulation plans, do redevelopment and regional planning studies, electric vehicle plans, goods movement, climate adaptation, and so forth, and really focusing on what I think is one of the goals of the state plan is coordinating land use and transportation decision-making, making sure that transportation investments are matching the land use is in those areas, and those investments in transportation are furthering local land use goals. And going forward, I think the NJTPA, through the cross-acceptance process, can really help the towns and counties implement the state plan once we get to that phase, but it has done so over all the years. I think, this plan is highly consistent with the state plan and the work that's done here. So I really encourage the NJTPA throughout the coming 6-7 months be engaged in the process and making sure all your priorities are reflected in the state plan. So there's the state plan policy map. This has always been a source of contention during previous rounds of cross acceptance. But this really gives where the growth should occur in the state and where preservation should occur, looking at designated centers. So there's no changes proposed to the map at this time, but it's really kind of give that geographic focus to the state's land use and community planning priority. Changes can be made suggested by the counties or the towns during the cross acceptance. We created a screening tool called the Smart Growth Explorer to help those decisions. And I provided the link to that. And that will really, you look at a certain area in the map, you can tell if it's based on the location. There's a whole series of growth supporting factors as well as environmental preservation factors. And it'll give roughly an index of if you're higher, if it's a place that's appropriate for growth, it will score higher. If it's appropriate place for more for preservation or restoration, it will have a lower score. So that will help municipalities and the counties filter what potential changes would be potentially considered or approved by the planning commission. And there is the link to that group. I really encourage everyone to take a look at it. It's pretty simple. It's not planner-ish. It's pretty straightforward. So it's meant to be used by the counties and municipalities, but also the general public on looking at how these could be potentially explored or for consideration. Like I said, I kind of went through all that. I won't read it all to you, but there's all kinds of environmental factors that go into this as well as the growth factors. And the timeline, which is the really important part of this. So the State Planning Act and the state planning rules are very prescriptive on how the state plan cross-acceptance is to proceed. So in January of last year, the Planning Commission issued a notice that we are going to start to prepare for cross-acceptance and to start developing a new draft state development and redevelopment plan. I mentioned on the 4th of December of this year, or last year, that the plan was approved by the State Planning Commission. And that was through a lot of work with the stakeholder groups, as well as various state agencies to come out with the plan. On December 6th, it was released for comment. Starting on February 12th and going through 18th is the 45-day period we have to have a public meeting in each county. So we have 17 of those meetings scheduled. Hopefully this week we'll finalize the details for the last 4. So we'll be meeting with all the counties throughout this and engaging with their municipalities on getting what the state plan is, what it's not, high-level overview of what the various strategies are in the state plan, and then looking for any comments. So most of the meeting is not going to be me talking. It's really listening and really hear what their concerns are and what potential changes to the state plan or also what policies that are in there. So over the spring and summer of this year, counties will be compiling their cross-acceptance reports, which has statements of agreements and disagreements that really outlines what the counties and the towns like about the state plan and potential changes they would like to see to the state. Then there's a negotiation phase where the State Planning Commission and the Office of Planning Advocacy works with each county on that negotiating entity agenda and work back and forth to come to some of the greatest level of consensus on those goals. So there are going to be things that we disagree on, but hopefully we can work out most of the issues and come to a consensus on how to move forward. Hopefully the infrastructure needs assessment will be complete by Rutgers in the spring. And then that's when we'll begin the impact assessment as well. And then from the summer to the fall, the impact assessment will be completed. We'll take all the public input once we're done with all the negotiating sessions with all the counties and incorporate that into an updated draft state development and redevelopment plan. And then we will hold 6 public hearings, hopefully then to adopt the state plan. And then hopefully by December of this year, the state plan will be adopted and then we can really start working on it. And that's, again, where I think the NJTPA can play a key role in helping counties and the towns in the region advance their local planning goals that are consistent with the regional transportation plan and the state development. So I know that's a lot of information, but I try to be very quick about it. I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. Do we have any questions from the board for Mr. Lean? Yes, sir.
Mr. Chairman, yes. How do you, Walter, how do you see the Highlands region and Highlands master plan dovetailing with the state plan? How's that process going to work?
So we are working very closely with the Highlands Council. So for the towns that are in the Highlands region, they have the option of having the Highlands Council represent them as the negotiating entity, or they can ask for their local county to represent them. There isn't already an MOU between the State Planning Commission and the Highlands Council. So if you're consistent with the Highlands plan, you're consistent with the state plan and vice versa. So I think there is a high level of consistency between those two planning documents. And we're actually meeting with the Highlands Council, our staff, and the Highlands counties on Wednesday to kind of just make sure everyone understands the process as we move forward. But it's really up to, I think there's like 11 towns that have asked the Highlands to have their county represent them, some in Morris, some in Somerset, and in Warren County as well. So we'll work through all that during the process. I really don't, if you're consistent with either plan, then you're consistent with the other. So I think it hopefully will be a seamless process. That's what I've been trying to make this be for the Highlands region counties, but all the counties, since I worked for Somerset County for many years and been through various rounds of cross acceptance. Previously, there was volumes of small forests in Georgia were cut down to do cross acceptance reports. This is really meant to be where it's more important where there's the disagreement. So if you're consistent with the state plan and your and goals and your county master plan is highly consistent, I don't need a 50-page document saying that you're consistent. You really got to focus on where the policies are inconsistent or there's inconsistent local. So I'm trying not to make this war and peace when it comes to these reports, but really make sure where we focus on where there's disagreements and move it forward, Andrew. There may be some map amendments proposed, and we'll work through those with our or the counties and the towns in the Highlands.
So currently, the map hasn't changed at all.
Map has not changed.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Yes, sir.
Walter, thanks for a great presentation. It's exciting that we're finally going to have an update of the state plan, and I think everyone here is looking forward to it. As you mentioned, New Jersey is a home rule state, and a lot of the decisions made when it comes to land use and even transportation, in a lot of ways, are made at the local level, mostly municipal level. With this new plan and new vigor and energy, do you anticipate any conversations as we're looking to start implementation, I guess, in 2026, about how the plan can have some more weight and more impact behind it, between the various legislative and administrative bodies in Trenton?
I mean, that's my goal. And that's one of the reasons I came here, because I see the value the state plan can provide. So we'll be working with our state agency partners as well, but organizations like the NJTPA have already taken into account through project prioritization and some of the other programs that are here, consistency with the state plan or not. So I think there's several examples throughout the state where counties have started to align plans at the local and regional level, and I think and show the benefits of that. I think having this state plan and going through this process, we can improve that level of consistency, then we can really start showing the benefits of that. And we've been introduced as people as a pragmatic planner, so I'm really looking forward to having some of those quick wins to point, look, this aligned with the state plan, and it was consistent with all these other plans, and they move forward and were able to secure funding from the federal government for this project, or a discretionary grant from DOT or another agency to advance some local projects. That's great, because the more we can show that the plan is being used and implemented and making it more efficient in New Jersey, which I think we can all agree that sometimes it's a little, with all the different levels of government, to navigate the process, but make it more inviting for economic development and incentive in the state, the better off.
Thank you. Does that answer your question?
Yes, thank you.
Okay, any other questions? Okay, any questions from the public? Anything on the phone? Oh, yes, sir. Would you just identify yourself for the record, please?
Yeah, the NJTPA has it, and I'd be happy to share it with you if
Sure, you can. NJTPA will share it with you. You can get it right here. Anyone else have any questions? Anything on the telephone? Okay. Thank you, Mr. Lane. Appreciate it very much.
Thank you for the opportunity to present. Looking forward to working with everyone.
Okay, we'll move on now to, move on to committee reports. We'll start with Commissioner Kennedy, who is the chairman of the Project Prioritization Committee, and will give their report.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Happy New Year to everybody. I am pleased to report on the activities of the Project Prioritization Committee. The December 16, 2024 meeting was held virtually, and I would like to thank everyone who participated in our final meeting of the year. The committee considered 4 action items, 2 of which require board approval today. The first item for approval is the minor amendments to the FY 2024-2027 Transportation Improvement Program to align and increase federal funds on CR 508 Bridge Street, Bridge over the Passaic River project in Essex and Hudson counties. Central staff, Essex and Hudson counties and the city of Newark reviewed this minor amendment. Approval of this minor amendment to the FY 24-27 TIP will allow funds to be programmed and the project to advance. The second item for approval is minor amendments to the FY 2024-2027 Transportation Improvement Program to add Route 7 Kearney Drainage Improvement Project in Hudson County. This amendment request is to add this project to the current TIP. The funds for this minor amendment were originally added to the FY 2022 TIP, and the project was approved for advanced construction designated by the Federal Highway Administration to allow construction to proceed in 2023. Federal Infrastructure for Rebuilding America grant funds are now available for obligation and need to be reprogrammed in the current TIP to receive regular federal authorization. The committee also approved the modification to the FY 24-27 Transportation Improvement Program to add federal funds to other rail stations, terminal improvement programs, and modifications to the FY 24-27 TIP to add federal funds to the 2 projects in Bergen County, the Route 4 Grand Avenue Bridge and Route 4 Hackensack River Bridge, and no further action is required for these items. This concludes the Project Prioritization Committee report.
Thank you very much. Before I move on for our action on the 2 action items, I ask if anybody has a question on the report that was given, either from the public or from the board. Seeing none, we'll move on to today's action items. The first is a minor amendment to fiscal year 2024 through 2027 Transportation Improvement Program, known as the TIP, to align and increase federal funds on the Bridge Street Bridge over Passaic River project in Essex and Hudson counties. And I understand that Essex County would like to move this item.
That's correct. Essex moves.
And Hudson County, you will second?
Yes, Hudson seconds.
Okay. Any comments on this particular item from the board or from the public? Seeing none, Denise, would you call the roll, please?
Yes. Bergen County,
Yes.
Essex County,
Yes.
Hudson County,
Yes.
Hunterdon County,
Yes.
Jersey City,
Yes.
Middlesex County,
Yes.
Morris County,
Yes.
Ocean County,
Yes.
Passaic County,
Yes.
Somerset County,
Yes.
Sussex County,
Yes.
Union County,
Yes.
Warren County,
Yes.
the Governor's Office,
Yes.
Yes.
Department of Transportation,
Yes.
New Jersey Transit,
Yes.
Port Authority,
Yes.
Citizens Representative.
Yes.
The item passes.
Thank you. The second action item is a minor amendment to fiscal year 2024 through 2027 Transportation Improvement Program to add Route 7 Kearney Drainage Improvements Project in Hudson County. And again, I understand that Hudson County would like to move this item.
Correct. Hudson moves.
And Passaic County, will you second?
6 seconds.
Okay, any comments from board members or members of the public? Seeing none, could we have a roll call vote?
Bergen County,
Yes.
Essex County,
Yes.
Hudson County,
Yes.
Hunterdon County,
Yes.
Jersey City,
Yes.
Middlesex
Yes.
County, Monmouth County,
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Morris County,
Yes.
Ocean County,
Yes.
Passaic County,
Yes.
Somerset County. The Somerset County?
Yes.
Sussex County,
Yes.
Union County,
Yes.
Warren County,
Yes.
the Governor's Office,
Yes.
New Jersey Department of Transportation,
Yes.
New Jersey Transit,
Yes.
Port Authority,
Yes.
Citizens Representative.
Yes.
The item passes.
Thank you. Thank you, Chairman. Now we'll move on to Commissioner Betty Jane Kowalski, who will give the Planning and Economic Development Committee report. Commissioner?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm pleased to report on the activities of the Planning and Economic Development Committee, and thanks to everyone who participated in our final meeting of 2024 on December 16th. The committee considered 2 action items that require board approval today. First is adoption of roadway performance measure targets specific to the NJTPA region for 2025. The Federal Highway Administration established national performance measures for use by state departments of transportation and metropolitan planning organizations to assess serious injuries and fatalities. Since 2022, the NJTPA has set its own regional safety targets rather than adopting those set by NJDOT, aiming to make progress toward eliminating fatalities and serious injuries by 2050. Today's action asks the board to adopt these targets as suitable benchmarks for the region. However, the committee heard that target setting this year remains challenging. Data continues to show increases in fatalities and serious injuries, partly due to an increase in unsafe travel behavior since the COVID-19 pandemic. Preliminary 2024 data suggest even higher totals. The NJTPA will continue to bolster safety programs and projects to make progress toward the target. The second item for approval today is support for adjusted pavement and bridge performance measures set by NJDOT. The NJTPA adopted a resolution in 2023 to support NJDOT's statewide 2-year targets for the condition of national highway system pavement and bridges, travel reliability, and freight. In keeping with federal regulations, NJDOT chose to adjust their targets for 6 pavement and bridge measures in the progress report recently submitted to the Federal Highway Administration. This action item adopts those revised targets for the region, and this concludes the Planning and Economic Development Committee report. Thank you.
Thank you. I understand there are 2 action items. The first is the adoption of the NJTPA specific roadway safety performance measure targets for 2025. My understanding is Union County would like to move this item.
Yes, Union moves.
And Morris, will you second?
Morris will second.
Okay, roll call vote, please. Oh, no, first, any comments from board members? Seeing none, any comments from the public? Okay, seeing none, now Denise, would you please call the roll?
Bergen County,
Yes.
Essex County,
Yes.
Hudson County, Hunterdon County,
Yes.
Jersey City,
Yes.
Middlesex
Yes.
County, Monmouth County,
Yes.
Morris County,
Yes.
Ocean County,
Yes.
Passaic County,
Yes.
Somerset County,
Yes.
Sussex County,
Yes.
Union County,
Yes.
Warren County,
Yes.
the Governor's Office,
Yes.
New Jersey Department of Transportation,
Yes.
New Jersey Transit,
Yes.
Port Authority,
Yes.
Citizens Representative.
Yes.
Item passes.
Thank you. Our final action item for today is support for adjusted pavement and bridge performance measure targets set by the New Jersey Department of Transportation. I understand that Sussex County would like to move this item.
Yes, Sussex moves.
And Bergen, will you second?
Bergen seconds.
Okay, any comments from board members? Any comments from members of the public? Okay, seeing none. Denise, would you please call the roll?
Yes. Bergen County,
Yes.
Essex County,
Yes.
Hudson County,
Yes.
Hunterdon County,
Yes.
Jersey City,
Yes.
Middlesex
Yes.
County, Monmouth County,
Yes.
Morris County.
Yes.
Ocean County,
Yes.
Passaic County,
Yes.
Somerset County,
Yes. Yes.
Sussex County,
Yes.
Union County.
Yes.
Warren County,
Yes.
the Governor's Office.
Yes.
Department of Transportation,
Yes.
New Jersey Transit,
Yes.
Port Authority,
Yes.
Citizens Representative. The item passes.
Yes.
Thank you very much. And the next thing we'll go to is Freight Initiatives. We'll hear from Commissioner Stephen Shaw, who will give the Freight Initiatives Committee report.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm pleased to report on the December 16th Freight Initiatives Committee meeting. Central staff informed the committee that the first three tasks of the 2050 Freight Industry Level Forecast Update, which began 1 year ago, have been completed. This includes a methodological framework, data acquisition, and commodity flow data disaggregation. Tasks currently underway include the e-commerce analysis and the freight forecasting tool update, with an expected study completion date of June 25th, 2025. On November 14th, a consultant contract was awarded for FY 2025 Freight Concept Development Program studies. This includes one project in my home county of Morris, the East Hanover Avenue Bridge Catenary Rail Clearance Project in Morris Plains and Morris Township, and two studies in Middlesex County, the Southern Middlesex County North-South Truck Corridor Project in Cranberry and Monroe, and the preliminary screening for Plate F vertical rail clearance in Perth Amboy. The meeting also featured a panel of 3 speakers who updated us on regional rail freight issues. Ryan Hill, Chief Engineer of Design and Construction at Conrail, discussed major rail infrastructure projects undertaken by Conrail in North Jersey to improve operational efficiency, alleviate congestion, and support customer needs. Key projects include the barb siding extension in Woodbridge and Perth Amboy, and a southbound connector to support the Port Authority's Express Rail Elizabeth Terminal, and the point-no-point movable bridge replacement over the Passaic River between Newark and Kearney. The projects emphasized collaboration, addressing operational bottlenecks, and enhancing rail freight infrastructure. Keen Baranga, President and Managing Partner of the Chesapeake and Delaware, discussed infrastructure projects in the NJTPA region, emphasizing safety, efficiency, and sustainability. Some of these efforts include upgrading old tracks, enhancing crew safety, reducing risks for surrounding communities, and consolidating interchanges to streamline services. Bhavin Kapadia, a project manager at NJDOT, discussed details of the NJDOT Rail Freight Assistance Program, including eligibility, application requirements, and award selection. He also provided an update on current applications, recent awards, and some of the projects completed with funding received through this program. In member updates, the Port Authority reported that they hosted a maritime conference in November regarding alternative fuels for vessels. NJ Transit reported that they recently submitted the draft New Jersey State Rail Plan to the Federal Railroad Administration and are awaiting notification of its acceptance. And Mr. Chairman, that concludes my report.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Are there any questions on the report from members of the board or from the public? Okay, seeing none, we will move on. We'll now turn to the public participation portion of this meeting. As a reminder, we advise members of the public that we have a 3-minute time limit on comments. The light on the timer will go from green to yellow when there are 30 seconds remaining, and then red when 3 minutes is reached. We ask that you keep your comments within this allotted time, and we will start with members of the public in the room who have signed up in advance to speak. Then we'll call on those joining us remotely who have signed up to provide comments. So Ted, would you call on the first person who signed up to speak today?
Chairman Kelly, no one in person signed up. We do have one telephone speaker, Mr. Andy Weiss, who signed up to speak in advance.
Okay, before we go to, does anybody here want to speak that didn't sign up? Okay, seeing none, would you go to the person on the telephone, please?
Sure. John, can you unmute Mr. Weiss? Mr. Weiss, you have 3 minutes, sir.
Okay. Good morning, board. I want to talk about the
Mr. Weiss, are you
missing.
there?
Oh, good morning, board. Can you hear me?
I guess not. I guess Mr. Weiss left us.
I see him in the
can
call,
you hear me?
but not able to get volume on him.
Mr. Weiss, can you hear us?
I can hear you.
Okay, I can hear you now. Go ahead with your comment or question.
Good.
Oh, thank you, board. Good morning, board. I want to talk about the missing final environmental impact statement for the NJ Transit Northern Branch Corridor project, which is also known as the Hudson Bergen Light Rail extension of Bergen County. NJ Transit is giving two different conflicting stories about the missing final environmental impact statement for the NJ Transit Northern Branch Corridor project. NJ Transit told the legislature during budget questions that they sent the final EIS to the FTA in 2018. NJ Transit also told Congressman Josh Gottheimer that they sent the final EIS to the US DOT. I have Josh Gottheimer's letter from 2023 to Transportation Secretary Pete Buttigieg about the final EIS that was sent to US DOT by NJ Transit. Listen to this. I was told by the FTA, Federal Transit Administration, via email that NJ Transit never submitted the final environmental impact statement for the Northern Branch Corridor project. Also, my Oprah request to NJ Transit for the final EIS was rejected by NJ Transit because they only had the draft environmental impact statement for the Northern Branch Corridor project. I have all the documentation. The NJ Transit is giving two different conflicting stories about the missing final environmental impact statement. As the board knows, the final environmental impact statement is supposed to be entered into the Federal Register, and that never happened. NJ Transit told Congressman Gottheimer and the legislature the final EIS was sent to the FDA and US DOT, but the final EIS was never entered into the Federal Register. Why? Why was my Oprah request rejected by NJ Transit for a copy of the final EIS when they told Congressman Gottheimer and the legislature that the final EIS was completed and sent to the FDA and DOT? NJ Transit only posted the approved draft EIS online, and the final EIS that they claimed was sent to the FDA and US DOT was never posted in the Federal Register, which is normal protocol. Why would the FTA and US DOT hold the final EIS for years and not post the full EIS into the Federal Register? The final EIS for the NJ Transit Northern Branch Corridor project is supposed to post a notice of availability in the Federal Register to officially announce its availability for public review and comment, and that never happened. Why? Why didn't NJ Transit follow up with US DOT and FTA to make sure that the final EIS that was sent did not become outdated and rejected by the FTA? I am asking for the Bergen County Executive Office to find out what happened to the final EIS for the Northern Branch Corridor project. Question for NJ Transit. Thank you.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you, Mr.
Thank you very
Weiss.
much for your courtesy in stopping. I don't have an answer for you. New Jersey Transit is here today. Do you have any answer at all, or you want to?
Yeah, I think there's a little misunderstanding of the federal process. First of all, the US DOT, the larger agency within which FTA is one of the total agencies like Federal Aviation, Federal Highway. So our work is with FTA, just to be very clear. My recollection is that so a draft EIS is the first major document when you're doing an EIS level review. Submit a draft EIS, in our case, to FTA Region 2. They will review and hopefully approve. When that document is complete, that document is published for comment. Subsequent to receiving comment, assuming there's no major changes, which require a supplemental, you go into your final EIS. Now, this goes back several years, so I don't want to speak specifically about Northern Branch exactly unless I misremembered anything. But the final EIS is a draft final EIS. So that can be submitted to the federal government, to, in our case, FTA. that draft final EIS needs to be approved. Federal Register process happens through the US DOT after that approval of the draft final. So if there was no approved final EIS, there is no final approved final. I will just say briefly on Northern Branch, we continue to work with FTA on approaches to that project. I think folks know that the notice of intent to enter into the environmental process for Northern Branch was rescinded by the FTA. That wasn't our intention, but that's what the federal government decided to do. So we are coordinating with the Federal Transit Administration now on approaches to move that project. I will say if anyone has a couple $2 billion they'd like to give us for that project, that would.
I'm just short.
Chairman, my understanding is the same.
Just identify yourself for the
Peter
call.
Botsolis, Bergen County. My understanding from the exec's office is what Jeremy mentioned, that exact process, and we've been working together.
I hope that answers your question. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other members of the public? Seeing none, we'll close the public portion. The next meeting of NJTPA Board will be held right here at the NJTPA's office in Newark on March 10th, 2025 at 10:30 a.m. May I have a motion to adjourn?
Motion, Middlesex.
Second, Morris.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed can stay here. Thank you. Meeting is closed.
7:35.
There's a lot of business.
And then I'm going to write back to the office. Okay. Had maybe.
No,